From Austin to Alabama, justice served or denied, where civil rights and corruption collide. This week on TCLN, I will be examining the DOJ's role in three specific news pieces that are trending in mainstream media. Number one, I am going to discuss the Moody Center scandal in UT Austin. I'm also going to talk about the cancellation of DEI initiatives and how it thwarts a civil rights agreement. And last, I'm going to talk about the DOJ's role in firing the Maureen Comey, which is the person who was the federal prosecuting attorney for Sean Combs Diddy, also for Ghislaine, and for Jeffrey Epstein. Tune in this week. I got the goods for you. It's not gossip, but it is tea right here on TCLN, where I educate to elevate, and we go from the situations to the solutions. After all, it's not just news. It's the why behind the news.
Never stop, forget it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers.
Never stop, forget it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always
Welcome back to the Creative Leadership Network. I'm IBK, where I love to educate to elevate and to take us from situations to the solutions. Now, earlier, as I said, I was going to tap into the DOJ and its role that it plays in the United States of America concerning certain cases in America and certain situations in America. So, but before I get started and I delve into those stories, of course, that is trending in mainstream media, first, I want to talk about the DOJ itself. The reason why is because many times we watch the news, right? We're such busy people in America and we watch the news, right? We hear what they say, we hear the situation, we make a quick judgment, but sometimes we either have forgotten what we've been educated on in high school and in college, or we just maybe don't fully understand who the entities and who the agencies are that operate in our United States government and what specifically they do. So I'm going to go over that and cover a little bit of that today. When you're therefore going forth watching the news, you will have a great understanding of who the DOJ is, what they do, and what entities operate up under their umbrella. So a little background on the DOJ. The DOJ is the Department of Justice. It was established July the 1st, 1870. Its headquarters is in Washington, D.C. The current U.S. Attorney of the DOJ is Merrick Garland. Okay, it is a parent agency, part of the executive branch under the president. The DOJ is the chief law enforcement agency of the United States federal government and its mission. Let's go over the things that it actually does, okay? Number one, it upholds civil rights and protects writing votes. Number two, it enforces federal laws, legal matters within the United States of America. It ensures the fair and impartial administrative of justice. It protects the public safety from foreign and domestic threats. It combats crime, including terrorism, corruption, and organized crime and cybercrime. So those are the key things that the DOJ operates in, right? So what key agencies operate under the DOJ? Okay, let's go over it, all right? FBI. So the FBI is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It handles crime, counterintelligence, and terrorism. The DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration. It fights any type of trafficking and enforces controlled substances laws. ATF. I know you guys seen that sometime in the neighborhood, right? You'll see people with DEA and ATF on their jackets, right? At least in the movies. Anyway, they're the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosive. and they regulate guns, explosives, and arson. U.S. Marshal Service. Now, I know that if you from Texas, you have seen the marshals going up and down those railroads. You've also seen what's called your state troopers, right? But U.S. Marshals, they service the protect the courts and they capture fugitives. Civil Rights Division, they enforce federal statutes prohibiting discrimination. And the Bureau of Prisons, they manage federal prisons facilities. So these are the organizations, the key agencies that operate up under the Department of Justice, up under what we know as DOJ. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about three stories that are trending, three particular news current events that are trending or that has trend in mainstream media, so that we can pretty much get an idea of the operation of what's called the DOJ and how it works in our United States of America, right? The reason why I do this, because again, TCLN is not just about the news, but it's the why that's behind the news. So I love to educate to elevate, so that way we will have an understanding. So when we were watching our news, we're watching with a frame of mind that we know the facts, we know the information, but we also know who the entities are that operate in our systems and who does what and why. Now, when the DOJ makes the headline, anytime that you're looking at the news and you hear something about the Department of Justice or you hear something about the DOJ, there are specific reasons why they go into mainstream media, why they're being talked about in mainstream media, and what they're actually doing. So these are some of the things that when you hear them in mainstream media that is going on. They are investigating public officials and corporate fraud. They are indicting individuals on federal charges like political corrections, any type of civil rights violations, espionage. Also, they sue the states. So they have the power to sue the states over constitutional laws like voter suppression or immigration issues, right? Also, they lead responses in the media. So, to high profile cases and incidents, mass shootings, any type of federal crimes, or any type of trafficking crimes, right? In the instance of Epstein, in the instance of Ghislaine, and also in the instance of what was known as the Diddy case recently that you guys have been watching trending in mainstream media, right? And they also have the power to fire, right? They have the power, the DOJ holds the power to fire with their executive order any type of federal prosecutors. In the case, we're talking about Miss Maureen Comey, right? So you know she's the one who dealt with the Epstein, Ghislaine, and also Diddy case, right? Recently, just recently, July the 16th, she was just terminated by the Trump administration, DOJ. And we're going to get into that and a little bit of facts about that, right? And as you know, I do commentary here. So we don't just talk about the news. We don't discuss the issues in the news. We educate ourselves, but we also give our commentary, right? Commentary basically on this particular platform means that we comment, we give our opinions, we give our advice, and we engage with one another. Okay, make sure that before we move forward, you are pressing the like, share, and the subscribe button. Also, when you hit that subscription button, guys, make sure that you're hitting your notifications. The reason being in your phones is because sometimes what happens is if you don't have your notifications turned on every week from your favorite content providers, if they're providing you information, you may not be getting it. You understand what I'm saying? So in order for you to get it, you have to make sure that in the YouTube and in your platform and in your phones, you actually have your notifications turned on, okay?
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it.
So just so you can understand a little bit about what happened with the Moody Center, UT Austin. First, let's go a little bit over the antitrust laws, right? Or the Antitrust Act. For you who maybe never heard of it, or to refresh your memory on what it is, right? So if you know that you're in business or people who are in business, this is a law that you guys must know just in case you don't know, right? I learned about this law pretty much when I was in real estate, right? It's very heavy in real estate, but it's also heavy in other parts of commerce too. So you in business, listen up. That's why I say news is good, but it's always the why behind the news. So the Sherman Act of 1890 is commonly referred to the Sherman Act or antitrust laws. uh, it is the key purpose of it is to promote fair competition for the benefit of consumers and to protect businesses from too much power, gaining too much power in the marketplace, right? So, number one, it is illegal for companies to work together to prohibit competition. It's also illegal for companies to use any type of unfair practices or tactics to become a monopoly and to remain a monopoly. So there's nothing wrong with being a monopoly. You can be huge, you can be the biggest one. It's just against the law if you use certain type of tactics and practices, right? So it prohibits agreements between two or more parties that that restrain trade or commerce. So anybody who try to get together and make a conspiracy to say, hey, we're gonna do A, B, C, D, F, G, we're gonna leave them out, and we're gonna make sure, this and this and that. It's against the law. Or anyone who does any type of price fixing, bid rigging, and any type of conclusion between competitors, right? So when you're in real estate, this is big time in real estate. Like there's no you know, unfair, supposed to be anyway, unfair competition between different real estate companies. So even in the laws of, they tell you certain laws where you can't do any type of steering, you can't, that has to do with civil rights laws, right? You can't do any type of coercion or, anything like that, right? So it's closely related to what's called the anti-Sherman trust laws. Now, uh, with knowing that and understanding that, now let's dig into Moody Center a little bit better, which is basically this particular project or stadium that was supposed to be built in connection with UT Austin, right? So let's go over the facts. As you know, I like to bring you guys facts. What's the use of telling news if we don't talk about facts, right? So in this particular indictment, where the federal investigators and prosecutors and different people who got involved with the concerning the DOJ, so there were three people in particular who were involved, right? And the indictment came up against Timothy J. Uh, I guess I'm saying his name right, Leiweke or something like that. Well, he was the former CEO of Oak View Group, so OVG. You also had, and I know everybody know this person, Jerry Jones. I'm from Dallas, so you know about them Cowboys, right? So Jerry Jones, the co-founder of Legends Hospitality. And then you had the late George Steinbrenner, which is the former owner of the New York Yankees. So do you guys see who was involved, right? But they brought the indictment up against, of course, Timothy, because he the one who conspired. So these are the statements that were reported in the news that he had actually made, which made him be in violation of the antitrust laws. So Timothy of OVJ, according to the Wall Street Journal, he specifically had made a deal that he would, or he was trying to strike a deal that he would do contracts with his rival competitors only if they would not operate, listen closely, if they would not operate against him and his competition with the contract that had to do with the Moody Center. And that if they would pull out and they would let him, in other words, rule the contract in the concession, I'm sorry, rule the contract with the particular Moody Center, that he would give them concessions, right? And also and sales of premium seats if they did not compete against him and his company to build the new venue, right? So according to the antitrust law, you're not supposed to be doing that, right? So you're not supposed to conspire, you're not supposed to make deals with other businesses, you're not supposed to tell another business that, hey, if you do A, B, C, D, F, G, I'll do A, B, C, D, F, G. It's supposed to be fair competition. Now, why is the antitrust laws in place for something like that? Because it affects everyone, right? Not only do it affects competitors or competing businesses or other businesses that may want to be in contracts to be able to do things like that, like being a builder or one who deals with the Moody Center. It also affects who? The taxpayers, because it's the taxpayers who are actually paying for these particular things to get done, right? So if the taxpayers are not getting their particular fair persons who could be the best persons for the bidding, the best persons for the building, the best persons to be able to get the job done that would be beneficial to them, not just in their taxes, but also in their dollars, in the service that they receive through the city. When you have these venues and you have all these events going on, then that means that if you're doing certain practices that's preventing the best to come forth so that you can have control, of course, the federal government considers that to be a law that you are breaking. And that's basically what happened, right? And there was an investigation that was done, and they indicted Timothy, I think I'm saying it right again, Leiweke. It's Leiweke. And he's the former CEO of OVG. And they indicted him on conspiracy to carry out an unlawful contract with the Moody Center. So again, guys, if you are in business, understand what these laws are. If you yourself is in business, right, you have to understand there are certain things you can do with contracts, especially if you're in real estate, you're in commerce, you're in business. Let's just say you start a business, right? And let's just say you come up with an invention and you are the leading person in that invention, right? There are going to always be people that come along that maybe try to copy you, that maybe try to want to do what you do. But at the same time, according to these laws, which is the Antitrust Act or the anti-Sherman laws, you can't, as an individual business person or as an entity or a company or corporation, go into a false competition with them. So you can't make any threats against them. You can't try to manipulate them to do things the way that you want them to do, just so that you can keep that monopoly. You may start out with it, it's not illegal, and you could be the largest. You understand what I'm saying? But if you start doing tactics and maneuvers, the DOJ is going to step in, they're going to investigate, they're going to bring you up under the antitrust laws. So that's the news and that's the commentary. So, guys, make sure that you are obeying the law. Make sure that when you're watching the news, you are understanding what is going on. You can make these things applicable to you, your businesses, and the things that you do in this world. You understand what I'm saying? You never know what life may take you. You know, you may be that person that you think of an invention or you think of something really great. You're going to have to know these laws. Because if you don't know these laws, you can easily get things taken away from you. You can easily come up under a federal indictment. You understand what I'm saying? And it could take you out of business.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it.
Okay, guys, so as you know, I don't take sides about who's right, who's wrong, none of that, right? Because I really don't know anyway. All you know is what the DOJ says. All you know is what Timothy, which was the CEO of OVG, said. He said, according to him, he did not commit a crime. He was just doing business regular like everybody else does business, right? And the DOJ said, no, you were doing it wrong. You did a conspiracy with a contract and you broke the antitrust law. They did an investigation and they brought the indictment, right? So I bring this kind of stuff to you guys because I want you to understand that the news is very, very important. It's how we looking at the news, right? So a lot of people look at the news and they say, oh, the news is so negative. Not necessarily. You understand what I'm saying? You can take anything out the news and you can learn from it. You can educate yourselves. You can become wiser, right? All the things that's brought in the news is basically all the things that are going on in the United States of America. And you want to make sure that you know about your world. You want to make sure that you know what's going on, especially if you're going to be a business person. Something like this, you working in business, you working on the internet, and you don't even know what an antitrust law is. Trust me, that affects us. If I don't know what an antitrust law is, that affects me. I can be out there thinking I'm doing something right, right? I get with my homegirl, say, girl, let's do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And they come and they say, baby, you breaking the law. And you say, no, I'm not. I'm just doing business. You understand what I'm saying? So You may not think you breaking the law, but you could be breaking the law. You understand what I'm saying? They consider certain things, certain practices, certain tactics, certain antics, to be not only unprofessional, but to be illegal. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's why they put that antitrust law in place. Now, you and I both know that the world don't work like that, right? We got laws all over the United States of America. Don't jaywalk, we jaywalk all the time. Don't do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You understand what I'm saying? People break the law all the time. But like they said, if you get caught breaking the law, it's no excuse, right? So, guys, that's why I do what I do. I hope that you have enjoyed today's information that I have given you guys. It is my job to make sure you stay informed and to stay inspired. I love to take current events that is in our mainstream media, bring them here to TCLN Network, educate to elevate, and we go from situations to solutions. My next one that is coming up, we're going to be talking about Alabama, and we're going to be talking about a specific law. Do you understand it? Which is called the Civil Rights Law. Now, there was an agreement that was made with Laws County, Alabama, and of course, they say black people, right? But it wasn't just blacks, it's anybody who's living in that county, but it was predominantly for blacks because they are predominantly black there. Now, there was an agreement that was made before DEI, and unfortunately, of the cancellation with DEI up under the Trump administration, that agreement has been canceled out. But how is this affecting the residents? How is this affecting their lives? We're going to go over it, right? Also, I'm going to cover Trump administration. I'm going to talk a little bit about Jaguar Wright, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what really happened with the firing of Maureen Comey. Again, this lady has no background of unprofessional conduct. She has not been stricken against her resume or repertoire of the kind of work that she does. She considered to be very professional. She took on these cases with Diddy, Epstein, and also Ghislaine. Do you understand that? So what happened? I think we can guesstimate about it. Everybody's talking, right? But we're going to get it down to a little bit of those facts and going to take it from there, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this particular information. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Other people out there may need something that you may learn out of here today, okay? So be blessed, guys, and I'll be right back with you with the next video coming up. Hi, I'm IBK. I want to thank you for tuning in today. I would just love to say, hey, if you got anything out of today's broadcast, if there was something you didn't know and you know, if there was something that inspired you, if there was something or a piece of information that you can use in your own personal life that you were able to get from here, please consider donating and supporting TCLN Network. Again, I bring you TCLN news commentary and educational content so that we can stay informed and we can stay inspired as United States citizens. So please hit that PayPal, hit that Cash App, support, guys, and you have a blessed and a wonderful day. Thank you so much, okay?
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters, and we ain't got nothing to hide. We move forward like soldiers.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.